guys, what's up? Welcome back to my channel. As I promised you, today is video number 2 of my plastic surgery journey. If you haven't seen video number 1 just yet, I'm going to link it up over here in the cards and also down in the description box below. If you want to go check it out, go ahead. Probably better to watch that video first and then come back here. This is installment number 2 and I'm going to break this down into a few different parts. I'll list them all in the description box below so you know which timestamp if you want to jump to a particular section. Again, as in the first video, my jaw hasn't 100% healed just yet, so if I'm talking weird, that is why. So let's jump right into it. This is my plastic surgery journey. Today's video is going to be all about the surgery. Whew. Okay, so before I get into everything, I just want to let you know exactly what I got done. The first thing I got done was my eyelids. I have a droop in my eye, or I had a droop in my eye just here, and it was really bothering me in all my photos. So I got Dr. No to help me increase the height of my double eyelid just a little bit, especially on the right eye, so that everything would look nice and even. I love the way it turned out. Thank you so much, Dr. No. I also got my nose done. As you know, they inserted, if I'm not mistaken, it's silicone implant right here from my nose bridge, and then they took out a little bit from my ear cartilage over here, and that became the tip of my nose. And then finally, I also got my jaw done. Now this part is a little bit scary. What they do is they cut from inside, so right here all the way across to the other side, and then they put something in there and they shave the jaw down to make it slimmer, and then they stitch everything back up. So those were the 3 things that I got done. I'm sorry if this description was a little bit graphic for you. I just wanted you guys to have the full information about what I did, just so you know what you're getting into. I gotta say, the surgery itself was a very frightening thing for me because I had never been under general anesthesia before and I was freaking out. Eugenia from Docfinderkorea, as always, was a huge help. She answered all of my questions, told me what I should expect. I also did a lot of research on my own, which I think is really important. If you're thinking about getting plastic surgery, please do a whole bunch of research so you know exactly what clinics you want to go to, what they specialize in, what to expect with both the surgery and the recovery period. For me, as I mentioned, I was really nervous. Even though I did all the research, I was still unsure about how my body personally would react to the general anesthesia. But the nurses at Bagi, I'm telling you guys, they are absolute champions. They're so professional. They made me feel so at ease, and they really made me feel like I was in good hands. And my entire surgery took about 7 hours, including my recovery time. And this is where I feel is really important for you to get right. My coming out of general anesthesia, I had this lady, and I still don't know who she is, but she had such a firm and yet calming voice, and I feel like that's what really centered me when I came out of general anesthesia. I was really calm. I just listened to her voice and did exactly what she told me. I had this 1-hour recovery period coming out of anesthesia and just breathing as much oxygen as I could to counteract the effects. And after that 1 hour, believe it or not, I full on walked from my surgery room into my ward. I have no idea how I did it. Of course, I had Eugenia helping me and holding me up because I was kind of still out of it. But still, I cannot believe I walked that distance right out of surgery. Jace greeted me in my ward, and I think he was pretty shocked to see me, and you probably can tell why. I am full on bloated at this point. I've got bandages all over. I've got these tubes feeding into my jaw to drain the blood. Oh my gosh, I was a sight to see. Okay, now on to the recovery period. I think this was really difficult for me the first few days because that is when you feel the most uncomfortable. I want to stress, I didn't really feel any pain throughout this entire process. It was very much more discomfort than anything. So the first night, I stayed over in Bagi, and because of my jaw surgery, I had to wake up every couple of hours to gargle my mouth and make sure there was no infection happening and just keep my mouth fully clean. And this is where I feel like it's really important to bring someone with you, because with the drugs and everything coming out of surgery, you're still pretty out of it. And Jace was such a huge help to me. He woke me up those every 2 hours so I could gargle my mouth. He changed out my ice packs for me, which reduced the swelling. It's so important to have someone really supportive and someone who doesn't mind helping you out throughout this recovery process. Jace was my rock, thank you babe. And so that is pretty much how my first night went. The next morning, it was immediately time to remove some of my bandages. Eugenia came over in the afternoon to check me out and then walk me over to my accommodation. And then I pretty much spent the next 5 or 6 days kind of recovering from the surgery and waiting for that crazy swelling to reduce. But just so you know, walking around Korea with that swollen face is not a problem at all. So finally took a walk this morning. You will not believe how nonchalant people here are about plastic surgery. I walked out with this face on, okay? Nobody even blinked. They just walked past like it was nothing. People are really used to that kind of situation, so don't be self-conscious at all if you want to just go out and explore. Go ahead, have fun. Nobody's gonna care, and nobody should care anyway. It's your choice what you want to do. Docfinderkorea also provides pumpkin juice, and this helps with de-swelling. I was a bit worried about the taste, but no, it was really tasty. I really enjoyed it, and I had to go through a liquid diet for the first kind of week plus. Having that pumpkin juice made it a little less painful having to go through a liquid diet because it was so tasty. So I just want to give you a bit of an idea of the timeline of my recovery. The first night, as I mentioned, I recovered overnight in Bagi, and then by day 2, which was the next morning, I had the bandages around my head as well as those tubes that fed into my jaw draining that blood. Those were removed. I also checked out of Bagi in the afternoon. The swelling got to its peak around day 3 and subsided mostly by day 5. I used ice packs at least 5 times in the morning, 5 times at night, just to help with the de-swelling. I feel like that's really important. I also slept with my head elevated, and you definitely want to work out the position that's most comfortable for you before you get there, because otherwise you're going to get a huge backache, which was my problem the first few days until I got a position that I was really used to and comfortable with. And then on day 5, I removed the bandages around my nose, and I got this awesome facial that had de-swelling lasers. I tell you, Bagi thinks of everything. And then by the end of week 1, I could consume semi-solid foods like scrambled eggs and porridge. Before that, as I mentioned before, I was on an entirely liquid diet. So I had meal replacement shakes, I had soy milk, which is protein rich, which is going to help you with recovery. And then I had the pumpkin juice, of course, that's going to help with de-swelling, and it was so tasty. And then the day before I left, I had my final consultations with both Dr. No and Dr. Park. They speak English really fluently, by the way, which was amazing. I got to ask them all the questions that I needed asked, and they explained to me my progress with recovery and what I should expect when I got home, which was really, really helpful. But do bear in mind, guys, that recovery actually takes a really, really long time. Bagi has these booklets that they lay out throughout the entire clinic, and those have the pictures of their clients and their recovery process. 1 month, 3 months, and then I think 6 months and a year into recovery. They all look so incredibly different. I'm going to show you guys my before and after picture at the end of this video, but remember, this is only 2 months into recovery and I've got a long way to go still. So I'll be posting update photos, and you can follow me on my Instagram and my Facebook just to find out how it's going. If you want to ask me any questions, by the way, you can ask me on my Instagram, you can ask me down in the comments box below. I'll answer all those questions in my final video that I'm going to post. I also wanted to mention Bagi provides all these extra services that you get while you're in recovery and still in Korea. You get to go in for a bunch of facials, which was, oh my gosh, so amazing. It's really difficult to wash your face with all those bandages and stuff, but once you head into the facials, they remove the bandages safely. They wash your face so it's nice and clean and just, oh my gosh, it feels so good. And then you get these de-swelling lasers. It's going to take your recovery and your de-swelling time way down, which is... Plus, this is Jace's favorite part, I time traveled. Basically, what it is a hyperbaric oxygen chamber. You're supposed to go and chill in there for about 20 minutes to half an hour, and that's just supposed to kind of help you absorb as much oxygen as possible into your body, which helps with the healing process. Everything they do at the clinic basically helps to speed up recovery and make everything easier on you, which is great. One thing I have to mention to you though is the stitch removal process. Everybody says this is the worst part of the entire surgery journey. I kind of have to agree. This was probably the second worst for me, the worst being the peak of the swelling, when my face just felt so stretched out and uncomfortable. Getting my stitches removed, that happened over the course of a week. The first time I went in, I removed the stitches around my nose as well as behind my ear. That's where they got the cartilage for the tip of my nose, by the way. And the next time I went in, I got the stitches inside my jaw removed. Now that was the worst. It does get painful, I'm gonna warn you. Prep yourself in advance, know that it's gonna be uncomfortable. You can take one of the painkillers that they give you about half an hour before your stitch removal. That's just gonna help to reduce the pain and discomfort a little bit. Just something to keep in mind, but I promise you it's really quick. The nurses are super efficient and professional. It's gonna be over before you know it. Of course, I had to mention Docfinderkorea's services. They were such a huge help throughout this entire thing. Basically, the whole trip, Docfinderkorea is readily available. Eugenia was actually really hands-on. She helped me organize all my appointments according to my preference. She was there to walk me to and back from all of my appointments. She translated for me, of course. That is the most important. And this was the cutest part, I think. She helped me translate messages into Korean. She sent it to my phone so that I could show waiters and waitresses at the restaurant so I could order the food that I wanted. When you're in recovery, you're not allowed to take solid food, so sometimes they've got to blend the food for you. And Eugenia had this readily typed out message for me. Every time I wanted to blend up my food, I just showed my phone to the waiter and whoops. So I just showed my phone to the waiter, they read it, and that was that.
So good. Good? I don't think you can eat those.
Blended food, yum. Docfinderkorea also has this really cool service, and this was one of my favorite parts. They take you out on this little tour day to wherever you want to go in Seoul. So the entire time me and Jace were there, we were traveling around by subway, and it was a really easy way to get around. But if we were to go to this place that we wanted to go to, it would have taken us over an hour to get there. Thankfully, we had this Docfinderkorea tour day and we told Eugenia we wanted to go there. She was super accommodating. She got everything arranged. We had the most amazing day. I wanted to give Jace a little special day for him because he was all out taking care of me this entire recovery time. So I chose to go to this area called Itaewon, and it had a meerkat cafe, and Jace is obsessed with animals. So we got to play around with the meerkats. It was really cool. And then, my favorite part of the day, Eugenia introduced me to a brand new Korean dish. It was really good. I forget the name now, but I go crazy over it. I'm trying to find it back here in Malaysia. I haven't found it just yet. I'll find out the name of the dish and put it down in the description box below, just in case you were interested. Trust me, you want to check it out because it tastes so good. Thank you so much, Eugenia. I also wanted to mention real quick this collaboration that Docfinderkorea and Shilla Duty Free have. So I went completely crazy, of course. I got a little bit excited and went on a little shopping spree right before I left. So basically this collaboration is, as a Docfinderkorea client, you get $1,000 in mileage points deposited into your Shilla Duty Free account. Right before you leave, you can go online, shop for all those products, and then you can pick it up at the airport right before you leave. I thought that was really convenient. Plus, at the duty-free shops, you get them for slightly cheaper than you do in Korea itself, so that's a win-win. And then finally, the moment you have been waiting for, these are my before and after pictures. As I mentioned before, I am still in my recovery process. Everything still feels kind of stiff and swollen, so I will be updating with more recovery photos as time progresses. If you want to hang out with me, find out what's going on, what I feel like at the moment, what I look like at the moment, you can follow me on Instagram and Facebook. I will leave my links right here as well as in the description box below. If you want to find out more about my recovery process, you want to ask me some questions about the surgery or recovery, you can leave your questions down in the comments box below, or you can DM me on Instagram and Facebook. I'll get back to your questions, or I will address them in my next video, which I'm posting really soon. Thank you so much for watching this video, guys. I hope you found it helpful. As always, I just want to say this is my personal decision. I am not pushing it on anyone, and I would never ever just even try to convince someone to get plastic surgery. This is my personal experience, my personal sharing of my experience. I don't expect anybody to do anything because of this video, so please be respectful in the comments, and thank you guys so much for being so supportive. I will see you in my next video, hopefully. Bye!